Well, hey guys, we are long overdue for a chit chat about what the heck to do about post-acne redness. This is something I know affects a lot of you guys. It's very frustrating. It can be quite stubborn to clear up. And keep watching this video because I'm going to share with you the latest, greatest treatments for post-acne redness, of course, but I'm also going to talk about a treatment that you might be surprised to find out is pretty accessible and very affordable. You know, acne is super common. It affects about 80% of adolescents and young adults, but a lot of people, once the acne is cleared up, are left behind with persistent redness and dilated blood vessels that for some people clears up, but for many people sticks around for greater than 6 months. Very frustrating. Post-acne redness you might think of as something that is predominantly impacting paler skin types. However, it can affect all skin types. You see, when you have acne, it's an inflammatory skin condition. It brings in all these inflammatory mediators, and that causes dilation of the blood vessels. And also with acne, you get a thinning of the epidermis. That's that top part of the skin. So the dilated blood vessels and the thin overlying epidermis makes it so that at the skin surface, those blood vessels are more obvious and you see redness. Again, redness looks different on all different skin tones. Now, I just have to come on here and rant for a moment because one thing I find super duper frustrating, insurance providers will cover the cost of treating acne, great, but then they view the post-acne marks as cosmetic. And I don't know where they draw the line. You know, as a dermatologist, I view acne, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, post-acne erythema. I view these as all skin conditions that can impact a patient's overall well-being and that need to be addressed and treated appropriately. But why insurance decides that one subset of these problems is worthy of being covered and the others are cosmetic. The other thing that is super frustrating about post-acne redness is that we don't have great studies on treatments for post-acne redness, probably because, again, insurance doesn't cover a lot of the treatments we're going to talk about. Because of this, there's not really a gold standard for treating post-acne redness. We need a lot more research. So if you go online, if you go into PubMed and you comb the literature looking for the most evidence-based post-acne erythema treatments, you're not going to come across robust clinical trials. You will find case reports, case series outlining success with various treatments, which we're going to talk about in this video. But all that to say, in contrast to many other skin conditions, there's not really a gold standard approach. So keep that in mind. You know, what we're talking about in this video, it may not necessarily reproduce every single dermatologist's approach to treating post-acne redness. Everyone has a different approach. They have different tools in their toolbox. One of the most important things for you to focus on is to make sure that the acne is under good control. And that means staying consistent with your acne treatments as prescribed by your dermatologist and following up with them accordingly to make sure that your acne treatments are optimized. Because you see, if the acne is still flaring and you're still breaking out a lot, that's going to bring in more inflammation into the skin. It's going to drive more redness, more dilation, further thinning that overlying epidermis, making all of this a lot more stubborn. And that's very important to keep in mind because you might be at a point in your journey where you are still breaking out, maybe not as much, but it's still happening, but the redness is the thing that catches your eye and is bothering you the most. So don't lose sight of the fact that you still need to stay super consistent with the acne treatments in order to get ahead of the redness. Now, what can be offered in terms of addressing post-acne redness? There are laser and light-based treatments that definitely can help. One of the go-to laser treatment options, the one that, you know, definitely is most frequently utilized, is pulse dye laser. Pulse dye laser works by targeting hemoglobin. So it targets the hemoglobin so it can selectively destroy those dilated blood vessels and that background redness. Pulse dye laser is generally pretty well tolerated. And it has very few side effects. When it comes to any laser-based device though, it's all in the skill set of the treating provider and the settings and everything. It's not a matter of just point and shoot with any one laser. Absolutely not. They have to assess your skin's response and, you know, as it relates to your background skin type. There are a lot of factors in terms of, you know, setting the laser, etc., etc. And if the laser settings are not quite right, you can get something called purpura, which is essentially a bruise. And in some conditions, we want a little bit of bruising. But in the case of post-acne redness, if the settings are such that it triggers purpura, well, that can obviously make the redness worse, more problematic. So that would be something that would need to be avoided. But all that to say, pulse dye laser is a go-to laser-based treatment for redness in general and has got a track record of success for post-acne redness. The second most common laser-based treatment is probably an Indi-Yag laser. Now, this targets oxyhemoglobin as well as melanin. So here the settings are definitely really important to get it right, but it certainly can be an effective tool for treating post-acne redness. There's a 595 picodomain Indi-Yag laser, and you're like, what the heck is that? Don't worry about it. But this laser is a little bit more sophisticated in terms of more selectively targeting oxyhemoglobin and not the melanin, so it may be even a better option. But the thing about lasers and light-based devices is that, you know, different providers have different lasers at their disposal. They develop a comfort level with a certain laser, and so it's not to say that you couldn't get results from any of these or that one is better than the other. But all that to say, you know, pulse dye laser is probably the one that has the most track record for efficacy for this. You've probably heard of broadband light treatment or intense pulse light treatment. These are different than lasers, but depending on the settings utilized, the parameters, they certainly can also be effective for improving facial redness and facial redness as it relates to healing acne. Fractional radiofrequency microneedling. What the heck is radiofrequency microneedling? I actually have a video talking about this. Basically, these tiny little needles create injury zones without disrupting the epidermis, and they introduce into the deeper layers of the skin a type of energy known as radiofrequency. And what this does is it heats up that part of the dermis, leading to a stimulation of healing pathways that ultimately improve collagen production. And this study actually showed an improvement in post-acne redness, and they actually had some biopsies taken and showing that there was a reduction in inflammation and a reduction in blood vessel abnormal blood vessel formation. Those are lasers, light-based, energy-based devices, and tools treatment options. As you guys know though, these treatments, they can be cost prohibitive for a lot of people. And you know, there's a bit more involved going in, having the treatment done. People want something they can put on the skin, maybe at home to try out. So what topicals are there that are available for post-acne redness? Tranexamic acid actually can be somewhat effective for post-acne redness. What the heck is tranexamic acid? I have a video all about this. It's a synthetic form of lysine that actually, the science of it is a little bit, beyond the scope of this video, but it was discovered to be an effective treatment when given by mouth for melasma. Melasma is a hyperpigmentation condition, but it also has a vascular component to it. But people, of course, were interested in, well, can you put it on the skin and get similar benefits for melasma? More research is needed, but some of the preliminary research is definitely suggesting that topical tranexamic acid can be an effective modality for improving redness. However, formulation is key due to the nature of how, tranexamic acid is something that's referred to as a polar substance, so that can make skin penetration challenging in formulations. If you go to Ulta or the drugstore, you're going to find a lot of topical tranexamic acid. It's a cosmetic ingredient, or it can be a cosmetic ingredient. Again, there's going to be a lot of heterogeneity out there in terms of quality of tranexamic acid, and because it's a cosmetic that you might buy, there's no way for anyone to tell you what's, a good topical tranexamic acid. The nice thing about tranexamic acid is, even though there's a lot of heterogeneity out there in terms of what you might buy from the store, it's generally pretty well tolerated. Like, people don't seem to have issue with it. But the thing is, it takes, like everything in the skin, it takes time to start working. Applied nightly, you might start seeing some improvement around 6 to 8 weeks, which, in the lifespan of skin isn't too bad, but for some people, we're really bothered by it. Just, if you're gonna try it out, realize it's not gonna change things drastically overnight. You're gonna have to stay consistent with it and be patient with it. Oxymetazoline and bromonidine. What the heck are these? These are medications that are referred to as alpha receptor agonists. And the way they work is by binding on receptors and causing blood vessels to constrict, to clamp down. So the end result of that is going to be an improvement in redness. These compounds have a decent track record, both clinically as well as in clinical studies, of improving post-acne redness. Of these two compounds, oxymetazoline is the most desirable in my opinion, because one thing that can happen with these compounds is that they can actually trigger a rebound worsening of redness. But that actually has only been shown with brimonidine, not with oxymetazoline. To clarify, brimonidine is what is in Lumify eye drops, and then oxymetazoline is what is in Afrin nasal spray. Now, of these two, brimonidine you have to be careful of because it can cause rebound worsening of redness, whereas the oxymetazoline, which is what is in Afrin, seems to be okay in that regard and not causing rebound worsening redness. And so, yes, you can actually apply Afrin nasal spray to the skin and derive that potential benefit of reducing redness from oxymetazoline just by getting a nasal spray. But I do not suggest doing that with the Lumify eye drops, which have brimonidine in it, because the brimonidine can lead to rebound worsening redness. So oxymetazoline 0.05% has been, it's got a good clinical track record of efficacy for post-acne redness. And it's what's in Afrin nasal spray that you can buy. Afrin's just a brand name for oxymetazoline nasal spray. You can even go in the Dollar Tree and they have an oxymetazoline nasal spray. So it can minimize the redness by vasoconstriction and may ultimately help in clearing things up. Now, when it comes to your skincare routine, there are some other ingredients that I've shared with you guys before that are beneficial for redness and for soothing the skin. Niacinamide, these are generally well tolerated, mild, and they're commonly found in a lot of moisturizers and moisturizing products. But the other ingredient that I really like for post-acne redness is azelaic acid. Azelaic acid is great because it's an acne treatment, so it potentially can impart some ongoing acne control. And it addresses hyperpigmentation, and it also addresses redness. So I'm rather fond of azelaic acid. As a side note, YouTube has this new shop feature, and if you tap on the little bag, you're going to see one of my favorite azelaic acid products from Paula's Choice, the azelaic acid booster. I've talked about this on here before. So if you want to learn more about that product, you can read more about it by tapping on the icons. You've heard me rave about that product before. It's very good. Another product that I think is a great option for post-acne redness, post-acne hyperpigmentation, it's just a great lightweight moisturizer overall, is the ProCure Rosacare. It has licorice root and it has niacinamide in it, both of which can help calm down redness and irritation. When it comes to your skincare routine though, keep it really simple. Anything that might irritate the skin or you find elicits symptoms of sensitivity like burning, stinging, redness, back away. Anything that is irritating to the skin can potentially worsen that background redness and make it more stubborn to treat. So pay attention to your skin, how it's responding to things. While niacinamide and licorice root and azelaic acid, while those are generally very well tolerated, there's always going to be a subset of people that don't get along with those ingredients. Listen to your skin. If it burns, it stings, it makes you flush, don't use it. It's gonna, it's not going to be helpful to you. The other thing, which should come as no surprise coming from me, but I cannot emphasize how important this is, and that is you've got to be protecting your skin from the sun. UV rays are going to drive more vasodilation into the skin, because your skin tries to respond to the UV rays by bringing in more inflammation to hopefully take care of the dead and dying cells. And that onslaught of inflammation releases vasodilatory compounds. You get more vasodilation. That, coupled with the fact that UV rays from the sun slow down healing, it's just going to make this process a lot more slow and stubborn for you. The other thing to bear in mind with your skincare routine is don't go out chasing after a lot of exfoliants, things that can be harsh, irritating to the skin. Whatever you do, don't pick or try and manipulate your skin, including if you're still breaking out. Picking, squeezing, that definitely can make for persistent facial redness, persistent red bumps, dilated blood vessels known as telangiectasia. So don't squeeze, pop, or otherwise manipulate the skin. And importantly, like I said at the beginning of the video, stay consistent with your acne treatments. One reason that acne treatments fail is that people stop them prematurely. Like the skin will clear and they'll be like, oh great, and then they'll stop the treatments and then the acne will come right back. A lot of acne treatments need to be continued. So make sure you are, checking in with your dermatologist, making sure like, do I need to continue using what you prescribed? Because oftentimes you do. And stopping prematurely can not only make the acne come back, but drives more inflammation into the skin that ultimately could worsen this problem for you. All right, guys, so let me know in the comments, have you ever heard of oxymetazoline, otherwise known as like Afrin nasal spray for redness, for persistent facial redness? Drop a comment below. But I hope this video was informative to you guys and you enjoyed it. On the end slide, I'm going to link up my video all about acne in your 40s. If you are an adult breaking out for the first time, or you're still breaking out and you've been breaking out your whole life, definitely check that out, because we talk all things hormones and how our hormones change with age and cause us to break out. So watch that one next if you missed it. But if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.